I was so prepared to come on here and tell you guys that this did absolutely nothing, but I think I was wrong. So about 2 months ago, this was like all over my TikTok feed. Literally every single video was just some used car salesman trying to sell me Volufill. Now there's Volufill Plus and then there's Volufiline. There's two of them. And they do different things, but specifically the one that everyone was talking about was the Volufiline, and now there's a Medicube one and there's an ordinary one. I went with ordinary just because right now Medicube is being sued in South Korea for making claims, like medical type grade claims that they really shouldn't be making. So I've been kind of staying away from Medicube stuff. So plus that was 5%, this was 92%. So I was like, I would think that this would work better than the 5%. Or at least it would get you the results a little bit quicker, perhaps. In a world where filler has become so normalized, like everybody, I swear, at least everybody online, I don't know about real life, but everybody online gets filler. I can't think of some sort of like influencer in the beauty realm that hasn't had filler or maybe got filler at some point. And I remember when it first kind of was a thing, it was deemed as kind of like a non-invasive, non-surgical, temporary way of doing, getting the results that you would want, maybe as opposed to getting surgery. So like you don't have to get surgery and yet you can, go and get the results that you would want, and it's temporary, it wears off, you can dissolve it, and so you're not doing anything that can't be undone. I've seen so many videos now talking about how filler doesn't really seem to ever kind of wear off.
So here they did an MRI of this person's face, and they had 12 syringes of filler placed into their face. And when they actually extracted out the part of the sequence that showed the filler, you'll see it in green, they found that the volume of that filler was actually double. So it was more than 24 syringes equivalent of volume. And it's a reminder that HA, or hyaluronic acid-based fillers, are hydrophilic. They attract water. And by doing so, they actually expand tissue. So it's something to remember, because oftentimes people are paying for a syringe and they expect that the whole syringe is going to be used. But if you can get a nice improvement with less of that syringe being used, consider that. Because if you are getting syringe after syringe after syringe, eventually you're going to get this expansion of your face and also just an enlargement of the facial structures. So here they did an MRI of this person's face, and they had 12 syringes.
And I think it's because the filler migrates and moves around and can give the appearance that it is wearing off. And I'm sure there's different types of fillers that can have different properties and do different things and stuff. But I think that's why people kept getting injections and more injections, because where they wanted it, it was just either maybe breaking down, but also migrating. So then you just keep getting more and more and more and more injections, and it's really easy to end up overdoing it. And too much filler can, instead of making you look younger, can make you end up looking older.
Special type of mustache, and nobody's talking about it.
Lip filler migration. This is something that a lot of people are very concerned about. There are multiple things that can contribute to lip filler migration. The first one being the amount that you put into the lips.
And then you'll just have a whole new set of insecurities because the filler has migrated and given you pillow face. Instead of fixing your insecurities, you can just kind of add on to it. I recently also came across a video that was talking about how they do an injection to break down the hyaluronic acid from the injections, and it can actually destroy your own natural hyaluronic structures within your lips. And I was like, so you can get injected and potentially end up with less volume in your lips than when you started. So you won't necessarily be going back to what your lips looked like before. You could end up with even smaller lips. And I was like, that sounds horrible.
Australian woman who had some hyaluronidase days put in to dissolve a filler and found herself in a world of
destroy your face. I'm hearing a lot about this Facebook group where people are claiming that after they got their fillers dissolved, their face has drastically changed and they look worse than they've ever looked. There are people that have had this procedure where they've had filler dissolved and now something's happened that we can't really explain.
How is this even possible? There was no evidence that this could happen. Some doctors even told me it was my mind.
No, there's no such thing as spot treating with Hylenex or hyaluronidase. It is a fluid. It gets injected and it eats away at all of the hyaluronic acid that is existing in that area. You cannot say, ooh, stop right there. Absolutely not. It is going to target the artificial hyaluronic acid that was injected in there and even some of your own tissue.
Called hyaluronidase is injected into the skin to break down filler compounds and skin tissue. Its off-label use in cosmetic procedures is unapproved, untested and unregulated. Now, a British study has found 20% of 150 patients had adverse effects from the drug.
The narrative surrounding fillers has been that it can be removed without any adverse outcome, and that's clearly not the case.
So there's a lot of what ifs and things that can go wrong when it comes to the injection of fillers. I know that there are plenty of people, usually from what I've seen is that they're on the older side and they've already kind of naturally have had volume loss from age, that are happy with the fillers. Usually when it's somebody in their teens, early 20s I've gotten it, they always seems like they end up getting it dissolved at some point.
I am dissolving all the filler in my lips, and half of you guys are going to be like, why are you doing this? Your lips look fine. And with me to get my lip filler dissolved.
I want my small lips back.
But then what are you supposed to do if you're just a white girl like me and you want to have bigger lips? Well, that's where everyone was talking about this and saying that it, filler in a bottle and you can get bigger lips. I don't know, I definitely did see a plumping, but as I was doing it, I was like, this isn't working. I can show you the first month results. The first month, there was nothing. Month 1, 30 days, absolutely nothing. My lips were the same. And at that point, I was just doing it once a day at night. And so nothing. So I was like, okay, for the second month, let's do twice a day and see where that gets us. So I did. So this has been a total of 60 days, and after 30 days, so the last 30 days, I did morning and night. So my morning skincare and then my night skincare, I was applying this to my lips. I also was putting it underneath my eyes, and I didn't see that it did anything for my under eye area. I've always had more hollowed under eyes because my eyes are a little bit more recessed, and it didn't do anything for that. So, at least it didn't make it all puffy and look weird either, but it just, it did nothing. I was looking at the photos and trying to see, oh, did it, do something minusculely? And I don't think so. But you can see from month 1 to month 2 that there was a change in the volume of my lips, and they did look plumper. I thought until I reviewed, the before and the after photos, that it hadn't done anything. I was prepared to come here and sit and say, this did nothing, it's a scam, you don't need to waste your money, you don't have to get this. But it actually did something. It was just so subtle and so kind of just not noticeable because it probably was happening very slowly, in real time. So, it's not like I put it on and then I woke up and had bigger lips. It was a very slow progression of volume increase. And I couldn't even tell. I really thought that it did absolutely nothing until I saw those photos. Oh, and nobody around me noticed either. So it is, I guess, from that point, very natural. No one's going to ask you if you got your lips filled. So that's, I guess, the nice thing. That it will be fairly undetectable and natural looking, but you will get a slight plumping effect. But I have found that it does seem like you have to do it twice a day. And I did read that it's better to start with once a day, make sure you're not going to have an allergic reaction to it, and then to increase to twice a day, and that most people didn't see results unless they were doing it twice a day. But naturally, if it works just once a day, it will be cheaper that way, because I was watching this, it's about, that's a little less than halfway, I think. Halfway, a little less, close to halfway, but it started really going down when I increased to twice a day, and it's an ampule. And I did find that it was difficult to like get just like a nice little drop. I felt like I didn't have as much control with how much liquid came out of it. That's the only thing that I didn't like. And I didn't notice my fingers getting puffier or anything like that, but I switched fingers to avoid that. Like, so when I'm using this finger, and then I would use this finger, and this finger, and then this finger, and then this finger, and then this, so I was constantly like rotating through all 8 of my fingers, so I wouldn't have that, because that's another thing that people on TikTok were showing, was they really doing this and showing their fat fingers and saying, oh, see, it worked and it plumped up my finger. I didn't really want that to happen, so I alternated fingers. Although, just looking at my fingers, I do feel like this side is like more puffy, but I think that's just how I am. I don't think that has anything to do with the Volufill line, because I haven't been using it for the last week now. I went on a skincare cleanse because my skin was having trouble retaining moisture, and I was just doing too much to it, and my skin barrier was struggling. So I'm on a skincare break other than sunscreen, moisturizer, and a gentle cleanser. But I definitely was interested in trying this. I'm white, in case you hadn't noticed, and growing up I always felt like I had pretty decent sized lips, especially for my ethnicity, and I was told that I had pretty full lips. So I was like, oh, and then as I got older and the internet became a thing, and then we had the rise of influencers and gurus and YouTubers and then TikTokers, I started to feel like I had small, little baby, little white girl thin lips, even though I don't think I do in reality. But because everyone was going and getting filler and getting good sized lips now, despite, whatever you were blessed with genetically, I felt like I had thin lips just by comparison. And I was like, oh, I wish I could go get just like have them maybe just like a smidge, just a smidge, just a teeny bit fuller. Especially since I have a double lip line. Like right now I have product on, but I do have a double lip line, and you can kind of see where even now with the product on that I have that line there, and then I actual lip line. And I always put the color on my outer lip line, just because like as soon as I do that, it's going to end up there anyways. It will bleed, so might as well. And then it helps my lips look a little bit fuller. I guess what I could do is like lip blushing to fill in that double lip line so it has pigment, and then my lips will look pretty decent sized. But because I have that double lip line and the second lip line doesn't have any pigment, it makes your lips look a little bit smaller, and then they can look fuller when you get the product on them and the color and all of that. So, but because of the horrors that modern day science has been kind of filling in with filler and how it can migrate, and dissolving isn't necessarily a perfect solution because the injection can actually destroy the natural hyaluronic acid built up in your own skin, and there is a chance that your body won't be able to rebuild it. So you could end up with smaller lips than what you started out with. Thus, any insecurity or you wanting to have slightly bigger lips, you could end up with smaller lips, and you spent all that money for nothing. So, when I saw this going around, I was like, okay, I definitely want to try that and just see if it works, because it seems like injections aren't as, easy peasy lemon squeezy as it was being sold to us by injectors. Volufill is a patented cosmetic ingredient that was first developed by the French cosmetic company, Sederma, which was later bought by Croda Cosmetics. And Croda is no longer around, and my guess is the patent came up because patents are only good for so long, and patents can expire, and if you don't renew them, a patented ingredient then can become public for everybody else to then copy and come up with their own versions of it, which is probably why we're now seeing like Ordinary and Medicube have their own Volufill line. That's my guess, is that the patent expired. But I'm just guessing. I didn't find anything like that online. I was just surmising. So the ingredient is based on a plant extract, And I'm going to put it here because Amarina Amarana, maybe, which is rich in. I should have looked up how to say all this crap. I wouldn't have remembered. I looked it up and I would not remember. And I do believe that they were first using it to increase the volume of breasts as opposed to lips, although it works anywhere that you have fat cells, is my understanding. But it can be used in lip treatments, eye products, face serums, but it was originally used for breasts, and I believe that's what the clinical research was done. And I did look on Amazon to see, like, because if you want to put this on, it would be so expensive to take this and to use it on your breasts or your glutes. And I saw a lot of people in the comments asking if they can do that, and it was originally used for breasts. So yes, you can. However, this is $21. I think I got it on sale for $19 still. So it's still kind of expensive for this teeny little thing. And let me see here, how much is it? It's just half a float ounce, 15 ml. So pretty expensive per an ounce. To put this on your breasts and your glutes would be very, very expensive. And there are products on Amazon. If you look up Volufiline or Volufil Plus, you will find products. However, when I was reading through the reviews, it seemed like results were really mixed. Some people were saying that like it did tighten and firm. Other people were saying that they did see a volume increase. Like, I don't think it's a lot though. Because in the clinical studies, there was only a 2.2% increase, which I think is why I initially didn't think it was doing anything. Like 2.2% is next to nothing. And it may not necessarily be enough to like increase a cup size, because that's like if you're putting it on your breast, that's how you would judge it. It's like, oh, my bra's no longer fit, I need to go buy new bras. And if that doesn't happen, you may not really notice that 2.2% increase isn't a lot. And I was looking at my lips before I put product on. Again, with the product on, it's harder to tell, but I do think that after a week of not using it, that they're starting to go back down and to go back exactly where they started out. So this is something that you have to do all the time. So if you do start putting it on your breasts and on your glutes, you're going to have to do it for the rest of time. It's not something that you can just do for 2 months, get the results you want, and then be done with it. So that's the plus side, I guess, of surgery, is that it's a little bit more permanent. You don't have to keep doing it and thinking about it. It doesn't have to be a daily routine that you're constantly applying it like twice a day, at least once a day. But definitely, I didn't see results until I did twice a day. And the brands that are on Amazon aren't necessarily I didn't recognize them. So who knows how ethical they're being about, how much Volufiline is actually in the product. And that could be another reason why people weren't seeing an increase just from reading the reviews. So, however, if you do want to do that route, I'd love it if they created a single product that had both the Volufiline and the Volu Plus. Maybe there might be, a chemical reason why they can't mix the two and have it be a singular product. But it would be so nice if they did. So, Volufiline stimulates the fat cells, differentiation and proliferation, while Volufil Plus focuses on creating new cells to store fat. So you can use the Volu Plus to create new fat cells, and the Volufiline will kind of plump them up and make them look a little bit bigger. So you would get maximum results from that. I didn't see anywhere Volufiline, I know on its own is just 2.2%. Now if you use the two together, what would the increase be? I didn't see anybody talking about that. I don't know if there's been clinical studies using both. So I'm not sure, could you bump it up to, would it just be a 3% increase? Would it jump up to a 5% increase? But I did read that if you want, maximum results, you can use the two together. But yet no one seems to be formulating the two together. I can only assume there's a reason, or maybe that will be the next iteration of things, because you always have to leave room for new products to launch. But the results, unfortunately, are temporary. I did see some girl saying, I don't know how she got her hands on it, but she said she'd been using Volufiline for years, and maybe she's overseas and could get the patent. You know, I imagine if you're in France, you probably had access to it, you know, before anybody else. And she'd been using it under her eyes. She showed her befores and afters. I mean, she did have befores and afters, and I don't know, like, what was she doing other things, you know, other than the Volufiline? That's, you never know if someone's doing something else on top of something else. And she claimed that she had stopped for a while and had been able to keep her results. And that hasn't been my experience. I have seen some shrinkage over the last week, and I imagine they may even not be done shrinking, I'm not sure. But according to everything I've read, it's temporary. It's not permanent, despite the anecdotal evidence that of people saying it is. That could just be, you know, kind of in their minds, them saying that it's permanent, you know, wishful thinking, a bit of, why can't I think of it? Placebo. There we go. A bit of a placebo effect going on, but maybe their bodies wanted to stay that way too. I mean, every person's a little bit different. But I did the math because I was curious. I was like, would it be cheaper to go and just get surgery, go get breast implants, you know, go get a Brazilian butt lift? And so let's just say you went on Amazon and you bought Volufiline and you bought Volu Plus. I found some that you could do it for about $25 a month, just guessing, which would be $300 a year. So 10 years is $3,000, 20 years is $6,000. And that was just with the Volufiline. Now, if you do a Volufiline and then a Volu Plus, I was guessing $50 a month. I was just guessing about how much product you would use per month. And so, you know, you can double that. And a typical breast augmentation on average is $4,800 to anywhere to $6,300. And that was just Google AI saying those numbers. Who knows? It depends upon the surgeon. Of course, you don't want to go with the cheapest surgeon, you know. And it would take about 16 years to save up for a boob job, select augmentation. Like if you took the money that $50 a month that you would be spending on the Volufiline Plus, you know, so take that $50, put it in the bank to save up for an actual breast augmentation. It would take 16 years for you to get enough money to. So I can understand not wanting to wait the 16 years. Now, a BBL, it is one of the most deadly procedures, just because if the injector hits something that they shouldn't, my understanding is it's quite deadly. But I'm in the U.S. and the national average is about $9,000. So we'll say that both could be about $14,000 if you want to get your boobs and your boobs and your breasts, your boobs and your glutes done. It would take you about 23 years to save up for both. Yeah, so at least, you know, if it's worth the risk of the injections, then I would say that it might actually be cheaper, because for 20 years, you would have spent $12,000. So so over 20 years, you would save $2,000. I guess that's not like a ridiculous amount of savings. So, but if you end up doing you want to use like the Volufiline or the Volufil Plus for like 50 years, then you might just be better off getting the surgeries. Oh, and I will say I was also putting hyaluronic acid on my lips as well. Can you believe I almost left that out? So I was putting this on, and then I put some hyaluronic acid and then Aquifer to seal everything in. I did a video a while back where I did hyaluronic acid because somebody said it was just as good as filler. It wasn't. This combined with the hyaluronic acid did seem to do something. Really, the main thing I noticed with the hyaluronic acid was that my lips were a lot less dry and a lot less chapped. So I've been putting hyaluronic acid on my lips pretty much ever since that video, because I can get pretty dry, chronic lips, and especially in the winter. Overall, this isn't a scam. It does work. But results are temporary, and you have to use it twice a day, every day, for the rest of your life. Which, let me see, I really started going through it really fast when I started using it twice again. I wish it was a dropper. I feel like I could, like, be more careful and precise with how much I'm, getting out. But I imagine there's like some thought behind why they did this packaging that I'm just not appreciating. But I would say that this one bottle is probably anywhere, depending upon like how carefully you're able to get it out, it could be anywhere from a 2-month to a 4-month supply. And also depending upon like where else you want to place it. Like if you're just doing your lips, you won't go through as fast, but a lot of times I would end up with extra out on the back of my hand anyways. So I was like, I might as well, So that way I didn't feel like I'm wasting. I wish it was something I could have better control of how much product I'm getting out at one time. So that's the only thing I hated about this. So let's see here. So let's see what a year of buying this would do. Let's do 3 months. So let's say it's $21. It lasts you 3 months. So 21 times 4 is $84. You'll be spending $84 a year to get this, and I imagine that's a lot cheaper than lip filler. But again, it's an ongoing cost with this, although lip filler seems to be an ongoing cost too. I constantly see people going and getting their filler, retouched up. So you have to decide, is $84 a year for the rest of your life worth it? And go further if you have the budget for it, by all means. But yeah, it is an added expense for the sake of vanity purposes. So, but I might be tempted. I might keep an eye out and see if it goes on sale and then do it that way. So, but I will be testing out next the Grande Lips, this is $30. For about the same price. It's a half flow ounce. Oh no, sorry, never mind. It's 0.05 flow ounce, so it's barely. So this is a lot more expensive, and they have a patent on Volu Lip. It's trademarked. So, does it say ingredients anywhere? Like, is there Volufill line? Oh, they say Sederma is a trademark of Sederma. Sederma, wasn't that the original brand? The original company? Ooh, actually this might be like the OG then. So, it'll be interesting to... I found this at TJ Maxx, so I was like, normally $30, got it for $6, so I had to try it out. And this is the same thing they say, use it twice a day, and that was my findings with this, that you had to use it twice a day. It'll be interesting to see if maybe we can do the pictures of my lips all nice and plumped with the Volufill line, and then compare it to the Grande Lips, for these guys have the original trademark and patent on it. So it'll be interesting to see. Which one gives us better results. This is definitely a lot more affordable than the Grande Lips. I saw this at TJ Maxx. I was like, hey, I could do a video on it. I'll try anything, But we can compare the results after 30 days. One thing is that I didn't see results until I started using this twice. I'm kind of wondering if I would have seen the results sooner if I had started using this twice a day, but I wanted to see if I could get away with once a day, because then you go through it a lot slower and it becomes a lot more affordable that way, or even more affordable. But it didn't work until I did it twice a day. So this video will be coming up because I'm very curious to see, like, will this give me even better results? Because they charge more, so I'd love to see if it's actually better. You can see their little before and after pictures. They show like, that's pretty plumped. That's, I think, even more plumped than what mine did. So with the Volufill line. So yeah, it works. I can tell you that it does work, and it's just up to you to decide if you want to spend $84 a year to have 2.2% increase in fullness in your lips. So, as I said, nobody said anything to me, so nobody could tell that I even did anything. Nobody was like, your lips are fuller. Nobody said anything, so it wasn't a noticeable change. I didn't even notice it until I looked at the photos. So if you're looking for drastic results, you're wasting your money, and you might as well go to, your dermatologist and see what they can do for you. And there's probably stuff that I don't even know about. And yeah. So yeah, if you want the drastic results, I would say this will not give you that. If you want very natural looking results, this works. And if you're willing to spend the $84, maybe more, maybe less. Again, I wish I had better control. And I was here like just trying to get 1 to 2 drops out and try not to waste it. It was just so difficult. So this will plump up your lips, and unlike a lip plumper, it's not going to wear off, in an hour or something like that. So this will be longer lasting, but the second you stop using it, your lips are going to shrivel up into what they were before. So it's not permanent. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and if you tried it and if you're going to try it. But definitely less of a risk, although there's a risk of allergies, so maybe patch test it first. But there's less of a risk, than having somebody inject you with something. So if you just kind of want to see what you would look like, you could buy a bottle and test it out and then go from there. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Exist anymore, which is Coda. Is it Coda? Why did I write Croda? My notes. Yeah, it's Croda. Okay.